Stress, it's a part of our everyday life. And we often wonder, how can I heal from it? How can I overcome it? Because when people come to see me, so many times I ask three questions. I say, what are the three things, if I could make them better with my magic wand, what would they be? And a lot of times, one of the top three things that comes up is stress and anxiety. So I wanted to break that down just a little bit today. And the first thing is, how do we look at stress? So stress can be a normal part of life. And that's what we would call eustress. So we all live with certain degrees of stress. You know, we have to get to work. There may be traffic lights that we need to go through. We have to get the kids' lunches prepared. We have a deadline that we need to make for work. So those are eustresses. So it's part of what we do, and it's part of our work or our family life. And we have chemicals within our body that are able to respond to that type of stress. But a lot of the stress that we see now, and I see in myself and in patients, is stress that we bring upon ourselves. And this can be mental stress, or it can be physiologic stress. So what do I mean by mental stress? So one is stressing out by things that have nothing to do with you. And I'm going to come back to that again in a minute, right? And then the other is physiologic stress. And this is really a lot of what I see in our modern society. So physiologic stress means stress within our body. So this can be things like not getting enough sleep. So this puts a physiologic stress on our body. It raises cortisol. It can really impact our mood and our gut and our immune system from healing. We can also see physiologic stress in things like excessive exercise. Or the lack of exercise. So people sometimes go to the gym and they just go overboard with their stress, and that can actually be harmful to their immune system. And then on the full other end of the spectrum, we can see a lack of exercise. And what does it do? It deactivates a lot of our hormones within our body, and our body is not as fit. Our mitochondria, the little battery packs within our cell, they can get burnt out by lack of movement or lack of physical activity. So these can be physiologic stresses, and they can have their consequences in our body. So we know that these stresses, whether they are eustress or physiologic, are going to change cortisol, and that is one of our master hormones. And cortisol has an impact on our immune cascade, on our gut, but most important, on our brain health. And this is why we can get into these negative feedback loops when it comes to stress. So first is really look at, am I stressed? Okay, this is number one. Are you aware? Is there stress in your life? Is it the stresses of day-to-day life? Is it physiologic stresses? Or is it your perception of stress? And this goes into my next point. When we look at scores that we do in research, we do one that is called perceived level of stress. And this score, when you look at it, the perceived level of stress is linked to so many health diseases. But the interesting thing is that our perception of stress varies from person to person. So for example, you say, I'm so stressed by my coworker. We go into work and all she does is gossip. Every day it's just gossip, and it's driving me crazy. You know, this woman, she never stops complaining. So I'm bringing this stress onto myself. So at that moment in time, you have a choice to make, and this is your perception. So are you going to allow this individual's behavior to impact your stress response, or are you going to say, I choose not to engage in that conversation, right? So stress can have a perception level. And I love the quote, it's not my monkeys, it's not my circus, it's not my monkeys. And what this comes to, we need to think about this, because are you in a situation that is under your control, or is it not under your control? So if it's something that's under your control, if it's your family life, many times, yes, if you have young children, you need to be concerned about them. But if you're thinking about something at the job, and workplace is a huge source of stress for so many individuals, you have to take a bird's eye view, or the eagle's eye view, kind of like look out a little bit, widen your lens, widen your perception, and start to say, does this situation have anything to do with me? And if it doesn't, or if it's nothing that's within my control, then I can choose to walk away from the situation. So that's one less stress that I have going on in my life. Because so many times We have stress because we're taking on everyone else's problems, everyone else's burdens. But at the end of the day, the only thing and the only person that we can control is ourselves. And so if we're allowing things to bother us, we have to think for a moment of kind of blocking the outside world and say, does this really impact my life? What does this truly have to do with me? And then we have the choice to engage or not to engage. And then the next point is, once we identify the stress, we become aware of the stress. And then we think about, what is my perception of the stress? And we think long and hard about it. And then we think about, how do I heal or overcome from stress? And again, I'm not going to get through how we heal completely in this little Instagram post today. But one of the things that we know, and this is a quote that I heard years ago from Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer said, "It's not the bite that kills you, it's the venom." So think about that. So is it the way that we perceive that comment, or is it how we hold on to the comment? And we know that many people have gone through many things in their lives. There is a lot of trauma in the world. It doesn't have to be in foreign nations. I see it in my community where I've been living in Canada, where I've been living in Bermuda. There's been a lot of trauma. That can be in the form of childhood trauma, whether it was abuse, whether it was lack, whether it was physical abuse. But one of the things that we know, it's holding on to that trauma, holding on to those emotions, holding on to the resentment, and that is what is going to make you sick. So we know one of the greatest things, even from a psychological perspective, is that forgiveness is the greatest thing that we can do, and letting go and allowing. So if we look at someone says something that bothers me, again, let's go back to the coworker. They said something at work, it really upset me. And every time I see her, that comment just keeps coming through my head. I don't know why she would say that. So I'm holding on to that comment. That comment, because I'm choosing to keep that in my mind. Now it's actually starting to activate my heart. When I see her, I'm getting palpitations and I'm getting angry because of that one comment that was said maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I have a choice to say, I'm going to forgive that person. That moment is in the past, but I'm going to let go, even though she may never understand it, but I'm letting go for me because I'm making the choice that I want to heal from that situation. I'm making the choice, even in this simple everyday workplace environment, that I'm choosing not to hold on to it, because holding on to it is that baggage that's going to wear me down over the long run. I remember several years ago when I was walking on the Camino de Santiago. It's a trail in northern Spain, and I walked for a month. It was amazing, 5 to 6 hours a day. And I stopped once at one of the little refuges, and so there were always like motivational kind of spots along the way. And one of them was saying, they were making the analogy, when I was walking on the Camino, we all carry a backpack. And it was, when you're on the Camino, or if you've ever been on a hike, you're carrying a heavy backpack. But what they said, what is the load and the burden that you are carrying? That's not in the form of a backpack, but it's in the form of resentments. It's in the form of fears. It's in the form of feeling that you're not good enough. What are you holding inside? Because I can tell you, at the end of the day, when I was hiking on the Camino, when I took the backpack off, I felt amazing. And through my life and on the journey that I've been on, when I've been able to let go, when I've been able to forgive, when I've been able to say, I'm going to change the way I think about that, then the way that I see my life begins to change. So I hope these are some points that will help you to begin to think about what stress is, your awareness of it, and how you can begin to think about healing through stressful situations. And I did want to take time as well today to tell you about a program that I'm doing next week. So on my journey, I've been through so many different experiences in my life, and I've done a lot of training in stress management and emotional regulation and mindfulness. And so I've brought this all together as a group program that I'm going to be running next week. It's going to run just for 4 weeks. It's going to be 2 one-hour Zoom sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And what's amazing is I'm going to use all the tools that I've learned in my experiences as a physician, but also in my experiences as a human on this journey of stress and overcoming it. But I'm going to be joined by two amazing women. So Dunia Hamdi is going to be coming to us from Germany, and Euphemia Franco from San Diego, California. And so together we're going to work to teach you some of these points on identifying stress, some very simple techniques on overcoming it, but then working with the body and really working to heal the body from the inside out. So if you want to hear a little bit more about this program, please feel free to go to the links that are attached to the message, or feel free just to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. But I want you to know that we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what you've been through, but the body holds on to this. And when we are able to overcome it, this is when real freedom, this is when real liberation will happen. And you'll be able to live a life at much more at ease and at peace than ever before. So from this Friday afternoon with the rain falling down outside, I wish you all a very great day. Take care, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.